Welcome into the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press Pigskin Preview, week number 3. Even though it's really week number 4.
Yeah.
So I'm Monk Blevins. I forgot to tell my name, but
Sammy Smith.
Surely they know us by now.
They should know us by this week. Yeah.
Well, another week in the books and some crazy games.
Some wild games going on last weekend.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and start talking about last week's games. I guess the first one we want to talk about, we had the game of the week, which was Susan Moore and Sylvania. Susan Moore traveled up to Sylvania and surprised me, I guess. I was a little surprised in that game, 21-7.
Right, I was a little bit surprised in that one.
Win for Susan Moore. I guess I was expecting Susan Moore to be down a little bit. I know they lost a few players, but they came ready to play.
Hey, they're about like they were last year. They're good. They're pretty good, and
absolutely,
they're going to make some noise in the region.
Oh yeah, that was a big region win. They take a step forward. Another game in that region was Plainview Geraldine, and Geraldine traveled up to Plainview, and it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty. They kind of surprised me as easily as they handled Plainview. I thought it would be a little tougher.
Oh yeah, I got to listen a little bit of that game, but the final was 48-6, but it was 35-0 at halftime.
Right.
28-0 with just a couple of minutes left, and we throw a pick six, and they take it in and go up 35-0 at half, and it was a tough night for Plainview, but
yeah.
That is a really, really good Geraldine football team.
It is. They're big, they're physical, and they line up and just run it right at you, and there's to see if you can just stop them.
Oh yeah.
And of course Plainview couldn't. So
yeah. Talk a little bit about Fife. Fife traveled over to section, and don't think it was really a surprise. They won 49-0.
Yeah.
And they do what they do.
Just took care of business.
Absolutely. There is a big game for them this coming week, and we'll talk about that one in a little bit. Fort Payne traveled down to Albertville, and that game was sloppy, I guess. And from what I understood, it was a sloppy game. Fort Payne was trailing for most of that game, actually, and came back and scored and won the game 20-13. So
the big thing in that one was McPherson kicked a 57-yard field goal.
Oh yeah, man! A lot of talk
deal
about him this week.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talking about him, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's a 10th grader. Is that right?
He's young, and
he's very young.
He's also the younger brother of the Florida place kicker.
Right. So bright future for that kid, looks like.
Yeah.
So, but that was another big win for Fort Payne. They go to 3-0, and of course that was their first region win. And Coach Elmore has got to be excited about that, about what they're doing. Again, we'll talk about the next big game. Was really probably, and maybe the biggest game last week, was Collinsville. North Sand Mountain traveled to Collinsville, and as you remember last year, that game went in overtime up at North Sand Mountain, and Collinsville pulled it off. Well, this year it wasn't quite that close.
No, Collinsville pulled it off a little early.
Yeah, 54-28 win for Collinsville. But that game was actually, now I didn't see the second half, but the first half really was closer than the score indicated. There was some, turnovers and different things in there, but both quarterbacks are super.
They're just both very good.
Speaking of the quarterback, Caleb Jones is the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press Player of the Week, and I say that and it's also the Trophy Shop is a sponsor of that too. North Alabama Trophies.
Yes.
But Caleb he ran for 158 yards. He passed 5 of 9 for 112 yards, and had a total of 6 touchdowns throwing and running. So, he is a super athlete.
He is very good.
And so, congratulations to him on as a great football game. Right. And a big win for Collinsville. Sets up a huge matchup this week, and again, we'll talk about that one coming up in a little bit. A couple more games, we need to talk about was, I guess, Valley Head. They had to travel to Decatur Heritage. We knew Decatur was good last year. I didn't know how good they would be this year, but they were pretty good. I think that score wound up being 35-14.
Yeah.
And
Decatur Heritage was a very good. They've got a good program. They were very good last year.
Yeah, And so tough loss for for Valley Head in that one, and then we got Crossville again. They play in a region that's just unbelievable. They had to travel to Etowah, and of course Etowah beats them 49-7.
Yeah.
7, I believe, was the final in that
right.
one.
That was
So tough loss for Crossville, but they've got an opportunity this week to win a game, and we'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
And then have we run down a couple other games? North Jackson traveled to Danville, and man, that was a tough loss for them. You know, they felt like they might have a chance.
I thought they might win that game.
And they lost that game. I believe it wound up being 20-7.
Yeah.
Danville over North Jackson. So a tough loss for them. Scottsboro. Sorry, I can't say it today. Scottsboro bounces back, you know, after a big loss to Fort Payne.
Traveled
to
Ardmore. Undefeated Ardmore.
Yeah, and really wasn't that close in the football game.
Dominated them.
Yeah, I think the final was 41-27, I believe. Just a great game for Scottsboro. Sets up a big game with Gunnersville this week. That's a big rivalry game for the Scottsboro team, so we'll see how that goes. Ider and Sandrock. We'll talk a little bit about that one. Man, what a football game. That one went into overtime, and Sandrock wins it 20-14, but I talked to one of the coaches from Ider, and they tried to win the football game, kicked a 61-yard field goal. Of course, they have a transfer student, you know, that's came in. They thought it was good, but they called it no good, and of course, I didn't see it, don't have a clue.
Wow.
But that put it in overtime, and then Sandrock wins it in overtime.
Yeah.
So this Ider team is a better football team than I really expected.
They are. They're a pretty good football team.
They really are, and again, just, you know, great kickers can keep you in football games.
They can get the momentum. You know, he probably, I don't know, I haven't seen him play yet, but I'm assuming he probably kicks off. He probably kicks it in the end zone. You know, you get people pumped up.
Yeah.
You know, that gets up the defense going, and they obviously played pretty good defense against Sandrock. You know, they didn't give up but 14 points in the regulation, and they're just pretty solid. Seems like pretty solid football team.
Yeah.
And plus, I think the kicker is an exchange student from somewhere, I don't know where, but I think they said he was probably about 6 foot, 6'2".
Oh yeah, big
and
kid.
Plays safety.
Yeah, plays safety on offense, and
that's a big deal right there.
So that is a big deal. And then we had Pisgah traveled over to Brindley Mountain, and Pisgah puts up 51 points, wins that game 51-8, I believe. And so a big win, big region win for Coach Luke Pruitt and the Pisgah Eagles. So good way to start out, and they get a really good test this week, and we'll talk about that one. But you know, they have to travel over to New Hope, and New Hope's one of those teams that's a little bit, you don't know the new coach, but they're playing well right now. So we'll see how that goes. And then I think one more we need to mention was Woodville and Falkville, and I think that score is backwards in there. Falkville defeated Woodville 32-6 on Friday night, and you know, Woodville, we know they were in a rebuilding year, and Coach Jay Powell, he's done a great job over there.
Yeah, and Falkville the last few years has been a playoff
really
contender. Been a really good football team.
So there was some great football games this week, and you know, I of course a few surprises. To me, I guess the biggest surprise might have been the Sylvania game. I just felt like Sylvania would win that football game, and I was wrong. So give Susan more credit. They're a better football team than what I thought they were. So,
yeah, they are.
But we'll see.
They're better than I thought they were.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that the score was, you know, I just felt like they would win. Of course, then the other surprise to me, and wasn't surprised Collinsville won. I guess I was surprised how many points they put up, and
they really put up a lot of points.
Yeah, they've got a really good offense. You know, of course, you got Caleb Jones at quarterback.
Yeah. And the Orr kid's got some speed. I mean, if he gets loose, he can go on every play. You know, any play. Yeah, he could go. But
and then I guess the one team we didn't talk about, and they are actually our Mountain Valley News Team of the Week, Cornerstone Christian Academy, got their first ever win in six-man football. They defeated East Central 32-0 on Friday night. So
they played some really good defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to Cornerstone, and we'll actually be there on Friday for the pep rally, and I know they're going to be excited about having their first win, and they've got an opportunity this week maybe to get their second win.
Yeah, they're a pretty good team. I knew last year they were a pretty good team. They just couldn't put that second half together. They played good the first half. Pretty much every ball game they were close the first half, and they just couldn't get that second half. But that's a pretty full ball game there when you hold team 0 points.
Absolutely. Of course they picked up a couple of new coaches this year. Sam Graham and then
Gabe
Graham both are helping with that program. Both of them were great athletes,
Yes.
great, and so
great football minds.
Oh, absolutely. So that has to help them having those kind of coaches there. So great win for Cornerstone, and I'm excited for them, and hopefully maybe Friday night I get to go up and watch a little bit. I hadn't been able to go up yet, but maybe this Friday night I can go up and check them out a little bit. So there we have it, kind of a rundown of last week's football games, and again, Caleb Jones, Player of the Week, Cornerstone Team of the Week, and congratulations to both of them for outstanding games on Friday night.
Yeah.
So now we get to talk about this week's games, and the first one, is the Mountain Valley News Game of the Week, and it's number 1 Fife hosting number 6 Collinsville. And man, what a football game!
That's going to be a great game. I think. I think Collinsville has the team this year to beat Fife. Whether they beat Fife, I don't know, because Fife's a good football team. Don't get me wrong. Fife,
absolutely.
I look at Fife right now across the board, and you don't find any weaknesses. There's no weaknesses.
No.
They're just a really solid Coach Benefield coach team that don't make mistakes. Now watch me jinx him, and he has mistakes this week, but they don't make any mistakes. They just play solid football. Kids know their role. They know what they can do, and Coach Benefield knows what they can do, and he puts them in the right spots. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
It's just if you call a football team a well-oiled machine, that's what that Fife team is.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And then you look at Collinsville this time. Collinsville is just loaded with talent. They overpower you. They're just a brute. They're
absolutely.
A brute,
you look at this matchup, and you think, okay, Collinsville offensive line, they're massive. And, look at Fife, their line is not big, but they're strong and they're quick.
Yes.
And, I just think it's a great matchup. And, this is one of those games, if you're not planning on going anywhere else on Friday night, and you better get there early.
Yeah, get your spot.
Come to Fife, because you're going to see a great matchup. I just think this is going to be a really, really good football game. Fife traveled down to Collinsville last year. Collinsville took a 10-0 lead on them, if you remember. Of course, and then Anderson runs a kickoff back for a touchdown, and that kind of got them going, and they wound up winning that game. And I meant to look at the score, but
it could be a momentum game.
It was pretty. It was a pretty.
We talk about Collinsville being huge on the line, but that has never bothered Fife before.
No.
Size playing against size doesn't bother them. They are just so smart, and they're, like you said, they're very strong.
Yeah, and they know the roles. I mean, they know, they know exactly what they do in every situation. They don't have to think about it. They just react.
Just react, exactly.
And so that is big. Coach Benefield has done. I mean, you can't say enough about the job he's done there. Coach Ernie Willingham has done a great job at Collinsville, too. He's a great coach. He didn't last year. He had to have open heart surgery, and he missed a few games. And so he's doing much better this year, a lot more involved. And so, but this will be a huge football game down in Fife this week. And, I can't wait till we get to the picks to see who you're picking. But, this is one for the ages.
It is.
It's probably the biggest. This may be the biggest game of the year.
As far as the two best teams in the area so far, of the smaller schools, that is the two best teams playing each other, and that's just got to be the best game for those. Other than like a Fort Payne. Fort Payne might go play with them because they're a bigger school.
Right.
But between all the other schools, that's the two best teams around here I see.
Oh yeah. Going down the list, Crossville travels to Douglas this week. Crossville started out 0-3, but man, they've had some tough football games.
Crossville's not a terrible football team.
Absolutely not.
They're a much improved football team this year.
Yeah.
They just played some
They got a brutal schedule.
really tough teams.
So, you look at their schedule, I mean, they opened up with Geraldine, and we know what Geraldine can do. Then they had to play Collins for the second week, and, we've already talked a lot about them. And then they get a break, and they get to go to Etowah.
Yeah, that's a break. Right.
So, but this week, they traveled to Douglas.
Yeah.
And I feel like, Douglas got hammered last week, 72-0 by Boaz.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not saying that Crossville can put up 72 points, but I think Crossville can win this football game.
I think Crossville's got a really good opportunity here to show that they've improved and how much they've improved.
I watched them play Geraldine, and good-looking team. They're big.
Yeah.
The quarterback is big, and they look really good. So, hopefully they got a chance to win that game this week. Next, we got Section actually travels to Ider. Of course, Section, loses to Fife last week, 49-0. And we talked about the Ider game, and they felt like they probably should have won it, or maybe they did win it, or I don't know. But so they get to play Section at home this week, and so big game for Ider and big game for Section. This is a region game for both teams, and who's to say that one of these couldn't still slip in there, because right now it's early in the season, and this is a big win for both teams right here.
Cedar, I don't know what Cedar Bluff's record is. I haven't kept up with it yet or checked it yet, but you got Fife, North Sun Mountain, Collinsville, and then one of these teams could be
the next one. Yeah, so that's a big game up at Ider, and that'll be a great football game. Next one, and I'm not sure why we put this one on here, but we did. It's really out of our region, but it's. I say it is, but it really isn't, because they're right there in the same region with Fife and all those other teams. You got Sand Rock, who again beat Ider last week in overtime.
I think you just put it on there so we'll have another loss.
Oh yeah, and then we got Cedar Bluff, who historically has been a good football team. And so that will be a great. Sand Rock has to travel to Cedar Bluff, so that should be a big game. And again, these two teams are right in the thick of it too. I mean, right now, that's two more that could, and one of those two could step up and make it into the playoffs. So that's a big game over in Cedar Bluff on Friday night. Next, we have Plainview. They travel to Susan Moore. Again, Susan Moore had a big win last week.
Susan Moore's a pretty tough team. That's going to be hard for Plainview to go into Susan Moore and they're just going to have to play a really good game.
Absolutely.
They can't play sloppy. They got to be physical and play hard.
They've really got to play physical with Susan Moore team. You have to travel down there, and you never know how traveling. Of course, this is actually be the first week they've had to be on the road. Is that right?
It is. It's their first road game.
So, how do they react traveling? That's always a big thing. And but I feel like this Plainview team will bounce back this week, and I think this will be a close football game actually. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Next, we have Gaston traveling to Sylvania. This is a non-region game, but after Sylvania losing that heartbreaker to Susan Moore, or a tough game to Susan Moore,
this will be a good opportunity for them
to get back on track. Mm-hmm. And then next, we have Mae Jemison coming to Fort Payne. Homecoming for Fort Payne. That's a distraction sometimes.
Yeah, and last year this game. I remember this game last year.
Yes.
Fort Payne threw a Hail Mary to win the game.
To win the football game.
At the end, over in Huntsville. I remember something, I guess when I got home or something, flipped the TV on. That game was actually on live. Yeah. And Fort Payne threw the Hail Mary to beat them there. Yeah. So this ain't gonna be no cakewalk for them.
No, absolutely not. Makes you wonder why they picked them for homecoming.
I know.
We need to ask the coach about that one. They may need to look back on that one, because that's a tough game. You normally try to pick an easy game. So, and maybe I don't know. Maybe he wanted it to be.
There may not be a lot of easy.
May not be any easy games. That's true. So, but Fort Payne's playing well, and like I said, McPherson kicking, and you got Shaddix at running back, and you got Penholster, and you got Blaylock at
Hunter Love,
and all those guys are just really good. So this could be a really good football game too. Mm-hmm. Next, we have Pisgah going to New Hope, and Pisgah gets a big win last week, and they have to travel to New Hope. New Hope hasn't been a good program in the last couple of years, but they've got a new coach, and they're playing much, much better.
Yeah, New Hope, I've seen them over the years. They will have big teams, and they'll have some athletes, but they just couldn't get them to playing together or something. Yeah. And this new coach seems to have them working in the right direction. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, to see how a good test for Pisgah to see where they're at, and then also kind of let us know where this New Hope team is. Right. That's going to be a good one. Got Faultville. They'll be traveling up to Valley Head, and of course Valley Head took a tough loss last week, and it doesn't get much easier this week. Faultville has a really good football program.
Right, they do.
And so, again, I don't know. I just feel like this may be a pretty close football game. Faultville having to travel to Valley Head, and maybe Valley Head can pull one out this week. Then we've got Clay County traveling to Cornerstone. Cornerstone coming off their first ever football victory.
And this is not the old Clay County that used to win all the state championships.
No, totally different one.
Clay Christian.
Yes.
Clay County Christian
Academy. And I think this Cornerstone team is playing well enough to get their second win this week.
I think they are too.
They have athletes, and I think they got opportunity to win number 2 this week. And man, what an exciting year for this Cornerstone group. Yeah. Next, we have Scottsboro, or Gunnersville will be traveling to Scottsboro. Scottsboro gets big win last week.
Yeah.
I don't know about Gunnersville. I don't remember. I know I saw it, but I cannot remember.
And it wasn't a blowout, I don't think.
No, it don't sound like. But this is a good matchup. Big rivalry. They're kind of neighbors.
The river
rivalry. Yeah.
We would back in the old days. I don't want to offend anybody from Scottsboro. We'd call them the River Rats race, But they would call us something like mountain goats or something up here. I don't know. Anyway, it was something.
But that'll be a great football game, and Scottsboro again much better last week than they had played in the week before.
And like you said before, they've got 20-something seniors.
Oh, yeah. So
good team.
They should be. Next, we have Galesville traveling to Woodville. Both of these teams are struggling, and, I think Woodville has an opportunity to get their first victory this week.
I think they do. They'll have to just play well.
Yeah.
Coach Powell will have to have them, and he'll have them ready for this game. Yeah.
And then next we have DAR. They'll be traveling to North Jackson. North Jackson looking for that first win. Coach Chandler Tygard, and I think he has an opportunity. But now this DAR team is over the last few years they've been a better football team. Yeah. And so still be a tough football game for North Jackson, but it is at home, and we'll see how that goes. And then last we've got, or not necessarily last, we've got Asbury travels up to North Sand Mountain, and you feel like North Sand Mountain will bounce back and get a win after the tough loss last week.
I feel like Asbury got their first win in their new home stadium this year.
Yeah.
But I don't believe they'll be able to handle North Sand Mountain.
North Sand Mountain's a good football team who got beat by a great
really good football team.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
Right.
And then the last one we got on our sheet here, we got Alabama, and I don't even think we picked this in the paper, but we'll talk about it. Got Alabama and South Carolina, a big SEC game, and
South Carolina, it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, South Carolina's quarterback is out, but they played a true freshman last week, and he lit it up.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough.
So it's going to be a tough.
I'm still impressed with the freshman that's playing for Alabama. Those linebackers that had to step in. Kids are just stepping up for Alabama. You don't hear a whole lot of talk on the little circuit. Everybody's talking about Clemson and Oklahoma and this one and that one, but Alabama's still right. They're still Alabama.
Right. Oh yeah. So, all right, we've talked about all these games, and we got to pick them. We got about 3 minutes or so. So let's go down the line, and you tell me who you're picking, and I'll change my mind and say, no, I'm just kidding. I'll tell you who I'm picking. Got Crossville at Douglas.
I'm going with Crossville. I know they're going to Douglas, but I think Crossville's a pretty good football team.
Oh, I do too. I'm going with. I think Crossville gets the win this week. Geraldine at Brindley Mountain.
I believe Geraldine can coast through this one pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think they get the win pretty easy this week. Section at Ider.
Ider's impressed me. I'm picking them at home.
I'm going with Ider too. They the first couple of games they have played much better than I thought they would, and they've hung in there, and so I think they get the win this week. Sandrock at Cedar Bluff.
I didn't get a chance to look at this because you kind of threw it at me there, and I didn't know that it's on here. I picked Cedar Bluff at home, but I really don't know that much about them yet. I haven't looked it up.
Yeah, I'm going with Cedar Bluff too, but just historically they're good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm basing it on.
Right.
Plainview at Susan Moore.
Well, I hate to pick against my Bears, but I'm going to have to go with Susan Moore. They beat Sylvania pretty good last week, so I'm afraid they're going to be too much.
I think this game will actually be close, but I think Susan Moore wins it in the end. I think it's just going to be one of those. But I think
it's hard to beat them at home.
Oh yeah, it really is. Got Gaston at Sylvania. Who you got?
Sylvania makes a bounce back this week. They're going to beat Gaston big, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to skip the next one. We're going to go down. We'll talk about that one in a minute.
Okay.
Got May Jemison at Fort Payne.
I'm going with Fort Payne at home.
Yeah, I'm taking Fort Payne too.
Yeah.
They're kind of like Alabama. I'm going to pick them until they lose,
That's
I guess.
right.
Got Pisgah at New Hope.
I'm going to say Pisgah. They've been scoring a lot of points. I think they keep rolling.
I think you're right. I'm picking Pisgah too. I just feel like they'll score more points. Faultville at Valley Head.
I'm taking Faultville. For some reason, it's got Valley Head marked on my paper.
That ain't right.
So I guess I picked Valley Head in the paper. But
yeah. Faultville, I think, wins this one. I'm going with Faultville too. We got Clay County at Cornerstone.
I'm going to pick Cornerstone at home. I think they get their second win.
Yeah, I'm going with Cornerstone too. I feel like they might get that win. Gunnersville at Scottsboro.
I'm going to go with Scottsboro because of their home. Of course, I don't know. I picked Scottsboro.
I did too, and I don't know why I picked them. I just felt like that they would win, and that's who I'm going with. Galesville at Woodville.
I'm going with Woodville to pick up their first win of the year.
I picked Woodville to get their first one too. So, and then DAR at North Jackson.
I'm going for North Jackson to pick up that big win against DAR. I think they may put it together this week.
I'm picking North Jackson too. Home game for them, my first home game, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I think they have opportunity to get the win this week. And then we've got Asbury at North Sand Mountain.
I'm going with North Sand Mountain. I think Hill just lets it go this week.
Yeah.
And they score
and then we're going to go Alabama at South Carolina.
Alabama.
And I'm going Alabama. And then the last one, it's got to be the biggest game around, I think, Fife at Collinsville. Who are you going with?
Well, I'm telling you, I thought this was at 5. Did I mess
It is
up?
at 5.
Okay.
They've got this backwards.
Okay.
But it is at 5.
Well, anyway, I picked 5 partially because Fife's at home, partially because Fife hasn't been beat. Now, Collinsville, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Collinsville wins this game. But I'm not going to be surprised if Fife wins it either.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be a really good game, and I took Fife.
Yeah. Well, I've said all along that I was going to pick 5 till somebody beat them, so I'm picking 5. But this may be the week they get beat. This may be it. But man, it's great
I'm not
football.
putting down Coach Ernie and them and the Collinsville.
Oh, absolutely
Panthers,
not.
I think they're very capable
good
of beating
football team,
Fife.
and they have a great opportunity. And I'm like you; it would not surprise me if they won the football game. But till somebody beats Fife, I'm picking.
That's what I had to do.
Well, that's it for this week, man. And I know we're running a little bit late. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And, we'll be back here again next week, and we'll talk about the games from this week and then break down the games for next week and then pick our winners. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. God bless each one of you, and we will see you again next week.
Building your dream home is one of the great joys in life. At First Southern State Bank, we know construction and mortgage financing, putting today's low rates to work for you. As you and your family move closer to the completion of your new home, we know that your home is where memories are made and families grow stronger year after year. At First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, Scott Kirk stands ready to tailor the right construction loans to meet your needs, along with our staff of experienced loan professionals. Drop by to share your dreams with us today in Rainsville. First Southern State Bank in Rainsville. All the bank you'll ever need.
Folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City, and I want to invite everybody to come down here and see us. We're located at 1015 Galt Avenue South here in downtown Fort Payne, and I want everybody to come down and check out our inventory. Bobby always keeps the inventory refreshed. We've got new stuff coming in every single day, a lot of stuff going out every day. Listen, we appreciate everybody in the area coming down here, letting us earn your business. I'm telling you what, this year's been great for us, and every year we get nominated and then we get voted in as the best in DeKalb. So I want to tell everybody we appreciate y'all doing that for us. Let us know we're doing everything right. So y'all come down here and see us. 1015 Galt Avenue South. You can shop us on the web at Twin City Used Cars, or you can just give us a call at 256-844-2210.